There were Jews telling people they still had to get circumcised. They still had to observe this feast, that feast. And what Paul was saying was, listen, if you don't need to go back to that yoke of legalism in order to be righteous with God. Now, on the opposite scope, all right, on the opposite scope, and I think this is where some of us, including myself, have to be very careful. You know, we know that we have received salvation. We know that we have the Holy Spirit inside of us, but we still allow our flesh to dictate our thoughts. We still want to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it. And, you know, God, we know that you have covered us with your grace and your mercy. Well, no, Paul was also just as adamant about that frame of thinking. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, listen, just because we got grace, why do we feel like we could continue on in sin? You know, he was like, God forbid. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about the fruit of the Spirit and talk about how you know, these qualities of love, joy, peace, and long suffering and temperance and all that, and such things there is no law, we're saying that all of those things coincide with the law of Moses. All right? Now, let me read this. Therefore, against such there is no law. It means that the fruit of the Spirit corresponds perfectly with God's law. There is no law against loving others or experiencing and speaking joy. None of God's commandments are going to go against having long suffering and meekness and temperance. None of God's commandments are going to go against that. There is no law against loving one another, against having joy. And if you practice self-control, you're really practicing obedience to what God has commissioned us to do, as far as seeking after Him first.